On the offensive side, let's start off talking about the quarterback who, again, hey, where's this ball supposed to go? Okay, cool. I'm going to get it there. That is the Jayden Daniels way, to the tune of the highest completion percentage through 4 games to start a season in NFL history. 2 of the top 4, by the way, coordinated by Cliff Kingsbury. And Jayden, I'll start with this, Logan, when it comes to Jayden Daniels. I do not think he was as masterfully efficient on Sunday as he was on Monday night. But that's only because what he did on Monday night against the Bengals was one of the great, as we talked about, one of the great quarterback games from efficiency, maximizing literally every play that I think we've ever seen. This game actually felt more sustainable over the long term in terms of the things that he did. And considering how good that he was on Sunday and the fact that it felt sustainable when you watch it back, that is actually, in a way, more terrifying than something that felt like a spectacular outlier on Monday night, even if that spectacular outlier contained a lot of signs of really good stuff that he could do again. If this is who Jayden Daniels can be, winning from the pocket like he did on Sunday and throwing over the middle more, some of these other throws that I know you're about to talk about, like that is actually, in a way, more terrifying for the rest of the NFL.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the efficiency, and again, it wasn't quite what it was versus Cincinnati, and again, but there's so many good things to talk about with this offense, like so many good things, and I think like we could let's start with the quarterback, I guess. I think the one thing that really sticks out to me is like, is he the most efficient of all time in this game? No. Is he really, really, really good? Yes. And I think when you look at the thing that blows me away is I was like, how many bad down and distances were they in this game? And I have
Not
2
many.
on my sheet. They had a 3rd and 15 where they had to punt, right?
Yep.
And they had a 3rd and 13 later
which
in the
they
game.
can get a completion to Noah Brown and pick up.
Tremendous. And then they had a 2nd and 15 where they complete a ball to Luke McCaffrey. Those are 3 in the whole game where they were in a bad down and distance. You just don't. I just watched Cleveland. How many? They're in bad down distance like every drive feels like.
I am going to ask my boss for hazard pay when I have to watch this Cleveland offense. They are terrible. They just live in bad down and distances.
And so one of the things I look at is I say like there's a couple throws that maybe he I don't even want to say that because I feel like he's even making good decisions here. But
that's the thing really too, right? We talk about efficiency real quick, Logan. Like he may not have gotten the most out of a play, but he still gets a lot. And if like a 10 was available, but you still get an 8, 8's really freaking good.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that sticks out to me about it is like just the composure and the decision makings of like when to scramble, like when to put yourselves in the best situation to be successful. Like the first scramble of the game, right? It's a 2nd and 4. He scrambles. It's not a big scramble, but he gets you to 2nd and or 3rd and 2. Like we're not taking sacks. We're not throwing the football away. We're not in the. You're always kind of moving forward. Like the worst down and distance before that 3rd and 15 was 3rd and 4. Like that's the worst one of the first half, which is if you're an offensive coordinator, you're like, I love this. This is fantastic. And to kind of follow that point up, like Cliff did a great job of just being like, hey man, like we're going to call I don't want to say perfect game plan because it's so symbiotic. And I think when you're allocating credit, it's really hard to do because there are times where Jayden is elevating the play like we just talked about. Instead of taking a sack, we get a 2-yard scramble. We're in a good down and distance, right? But there are also times where Cliff is he's calling quick game at the perfect time. The setup's perfect. We got that choice route or that I guess it's a choice to OZ and the first 3rd and 4 where it's like you get it's man coverage, he's short motions. Everybody in the NFL runs it, but Noah Brown does such a great job of picking, like kind of creating that natural pick for Ozzy's guy. He's wide open, easy first down. Like the execution is so high. The time you're calling plays is so significant. And then it's so funny after watching a lot of Cleveland's offense and a lot of watching of Deshaun Watson, the way that Jayden throws the football, the quickness of the release, the quickness of his feet, it cannot be overstated how efficient that makes this offense. Like there are so many times, like there was a spot concept. So a corner, a sit, and a bubble basically, or flat. The Arizona Cardinals have it matched. Like the linebackers pushing through to the spot. And the quickness that Jayden's able to get back into his drop, the linebacker is sprinting to the spot. And he just delivered, like it's just like this flick of the wrist, ball's out, and the linebacker could not have played it any better, but Jayden is just physically better than you. And I remember talking to Kyle Shanahan about Jimmy Garoppolo a couple years ago, like it's 2017. And one of the things he said about Jimmy that makes him hard to cover is the quickness of the release, because he can hit those like little 5-yard sits. He can hit a slant. And you see that with Jayden. Like, there were so many times in this game where like that is covered if there's another quarterback back there. Like watching Deshaun Watson, it's like he can't throw a little 5-yard out because his windup's too long. And so people run and rally under it. That's not a thing with Jayden. And it just makes the floor of the offense so much better. And then in conjunction with that, like Cliff calling the right plays, good play design. Like there was another play where, they run that kind of half boot out to the offensive right. Do you remember that? And they throw the comeback to OZ. Like, talk about just making it easy for the quarterback, right? We're going to have the tight end over there, John Bates, going to block the edge. I'm going to run outside of you. If I don't like the comeback and I don't like the cross, I can scramble for 12 yards because there's nobody over here. But I like the comeback, easy release. And I think that's the cool thing about this offense is like, Cliff knows when to make the easy things as easy as possible so that when it's time for Jayden to do something crazy, like on that 3rd and 13, like you already talked about, where there's a little bit of pressure, he's in the pocket, he vacates, and then has to kind of deliver an off-platform ball to Noah Brown. Like, he can do that because we haven't been leveraged throughout the game. Like, there's probably, I'd say, thinking back on it, probably 7, maybe 8, like leveraged throws, but everything else is like, it's as it should be. It's easy and straightforward. And I think that's something that makes me so excited about the way Cliff's calling these games. And again, like, because Cliff's calling a good game, that doesn't mean that it detracts from what Jayden's doing, because Jayden's doing a fantastic job of keeping you on schedule, elevating versus bad looks. Like the throw to Noah Brown is a great example of that. Like, that play is covered, it's dead.
Yes.
You buy a little time, you deliver the football. Like, that's an elevation he's bringing to the offense. And the fact that it's happening in big moments and little moments, and they're elevating each other, I think makes this group so incredibly special. You know what I mean? It's just special to watch an offense operate with this level of consistency. It's like, I was talking to Bram about this the other day. I feel like it's hard to explain. I feel like I am watching something kind of like football magic a little bit, because offenses just don't do this. They just don't they don't do this. And so the fact that you're getting good play calling, good execution, and we'll talk about this more in a second, but people, when it's not blocked up perfectly or the route's not exactly right, elevating within the context of the play that way, you're getting plays from Zach Ertz, you're getting plays from Jeremy McNichols. Like, it's just a special thing to watch over the last 2 weeks.
No, you're right. Offenses don't do this. And my only thing that I've told people is like, hey, don't count on this being it. It's the first time they've scored 38 back-to-back weeks since 1991. It's the first time.
Craig,
yes.
Like I told someone that the other day, I'm like, there's probably going to be a little bit of aggression. They're thinking, oh, Logan, you're being such a hater. I'm like, I'm just doing like math.
Yeah.
Like, it just, like, this is unprecedented.
They can still score 28 a game and be one of the top 5 offenses in football, and that would be a regression from what they've done the last 4 weeks. It's the first time they've scored 30 in back-to-back games since Kirk was here in 2017. Like, it is, what they're doing right now is wholly unsustainable based off mere NFL math, but they could regress by 10, 15% and still be one of the best 5 offenses in football. Like, it is ridiculous, though, the cohesion that they have and the playmaking. And a couple things I wanted to touch on that you just talked about.
Yeah, sorry, I went on a little bit of a ramble.
No, it was a ramble of quality. It was a ramble of quality. I think that, one, there's a couple times you watch the quick game stuff and the ball gets out so, just efficiently that I don't know what the coverage is, but it feels like it doesn't really matter. That, like, they eventually get back in their drop and I'm like, I don't think that should have been open. You're like, I don't know that that's the quote unquote right read, but like, Jayden takes a snap, it's wide open, he throws it, and the ball's there so fast, it literally doesn't matter what the coverage is because the dropper can't get to that space fast enough because he is so quick with his release. And it actually works in conjunction. That thought was kind of in my head as I'm rewatching the 3rd and 13 for like the 4th time. Because if you see what happens with the play, you rewind it back to the top, and then you're like, okay, let me watch Noah Brown here. And you're like, oh, he could have actually thrown that earlier. Is he late on this? Let me go to the end zone angle. Let me see what's happening. And you realize that Noah Brown gets the ball, quote unquote, late because Jayden's not looking at him. He's looking the complete other side of the field. He's reading a multiple, person concept, and Arizona covers it up. And then Jayden's like, okay, well, I don't have that. Now I got a little bit of pressure. Let me get out. He takes like 1.5 steps. He sees Brown, and the time from him seeing Noah Brown open to the ball being out is nothing. It is ridiculous how fast. I mean, you talk about processing speed. The time from thought to action for him is as good as there. I mean, I know this sounds ridiculous. He's a rookie who just played his 4th game. It is as good as anybody in the NFL because I don't know how you could possibly have it happen faster. And so even on a play like that where he's getting through a full progression, takes on pressure, when he ultimately makes the decision, it happened so quickly that you get a conversion on 3rd and 15 and Noah Brown gets a 16-yard gain and voila, the offense keeps on moving.
Yeah, and I think, again, like you mentioned the quick game, you mentioned the processing ability, like it's all there. And I think like the other one that was amazing to me was the completion of Luke McCaffrey. Like they're running like a little stick kind of spot route to the offensive left. He looks at it and he gets back to Luke and delivers just an absolute laser beam. It's man coverage, so it's a little bit easier to make those types of throws. Awesome. And so not only is the quick release there and kind of the simple stuff being simple there, but you see that elite throw to Luke McCaffrey. You see the elite throw to Terry on that 10-yard out. Like you're not going to see a better throw than that. Like it's cover 3, the cover 3 player's dropping out. There's a hook player buzzing right under that. And so for him to layer that throw over that defender and get it up and down before Terry's out of bounds on the sideline is one of my favorite throws he's had. And so like you were saying, he hasn't been overly efficient, but there was a lot of things in this game where I was like, that's the best throw of that type I've seen him make.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
it was a different kind of performance than Monday night, but it wasn't like in no way is that meant to be a negative. Like it was incredible in its own unique way.
And in some ways it's more encouraging because I feel like the stuff he did in this game is stuff that's going to serve him better longer. Right? Yeah. Like we talk about the big throw to Terry in the Cincinnati game, which is, Bram said this, and I think it's very astute. It's maybe the best throw in the last 30 years of the organization. Like it's a special play, that touchdown on 3rd and 7 in the moment. But those are not, and you need those plays in an offense in the NFL. You need explosive plays. Those are not like down to down things that you see that sustain offenses.
Yes.
The throw to Luke, the throw to Noah, the throw to Terry, the touchdown to Terry, like we're going to look to the offense, to the offensive right. We're going to pull the safety over there. I'm going to come back, settle my feet. I was maybe a tick late, but again, the release gets
But he's also waiting for making sure that Kaiser White doesn't undercut it. Like I think he takes on, I was going to ask you about this play. I think he takes the slightest of peaks to Jeremy McNichols, which is just enough to move Kaiser White a half step out of the throwing lane. And to me, I trust Jayden that he did that on purpose and he knew he had time because the backside was clean. That he's late, but he knew he could be late.
And late is relative here. I mean, it's like it's like tenths of a second. You're like pausing the frame, so, but like throwing over the middle of the field like that is, again, something we want to see from him. Like, I love that. I love that he's pushing himself that way. And again, those are the throws that you were always kind of questioning when he came out of LSU that we haven't really seen a ton of, at the NFL level so far. And so to see them kind of stack, probably 5 of them in this game, I think was really, really great to see. In addition to the stuff that he already does really well, which is the quick game, kind of take what's easy, that type of stuff. But that to me is special. That's what, again, like there's the completion percentage, the efficiency is good, but when you start seeing those more challenging throws and the other stuff has remained consistent, you're like, man. And I'm not a guy who gets overly excited, but those were the things that I came out of this game being very excited about, that and the defense playing hard. But I think that's what I would kind of settle on there is like, was it as efficient? No. Were there some things left on the field? Yes. But did you see more variety? More, like I use the analogy like clubs in the bag. Like we got the wedge, we got the driver, we got the quick, like it's all there. And I think that's something that I'm like, man, versus like Baltimore versus Cleveland, like you need those clubs because those are really good defenses.
Well, and that's actually a good way to wrap this up here, I think, is like Cincinnati, he was smashing 300-yard drives. Yeah. Just time after time, you're like, wow, that's spectacular. Here, he's like bending a 7-iron around a tree and hitting it within 3 feet of the hole. And it's like, dang, that is, if he can do that on a regular basis, the 300-yard drive is nice, but your short game is what'll kill you if you can't follow up that 300-yard drive. And boy, did he show that he could use every other club in the bag.
Well, just as a point of comparison, like think about, I don't know how much Indianapolis football you've watched, but think about Anthony Richardson. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Richardson is
longest hitter on tour. Wedge game is not great.
Not great, right? And he's the youngest player in the NFL. So, like, we expect him to grow and develop. This is not an indictment of him, but there's a really good juxtaposition of someone who can do the high-level, amazing highlight play whenever you want it, because he's got the arm talent, maybe one of the better like maybe the best arm in the NFL. I don't know. Josh Allen probably has something to say about that. Yeah. But it's the things that sustain an offense that he can't do well yet, right? And so, like, that he's got to grow into that. But to see Jayden do that, that's the thing that if for fans, like, that's the thing that NFL quarterbacking is, right? Like, when you look at the best guys to do it, it's the 10-yard out, the throw over the middle, like, those are the things that sustain an offense. And they, Jayden what did we say, 5 times in this game? Maybe I'm forgetting one, 6 or 7. The really good ones, Joe Burrow, not even Josh Allen, maybe Patrick Mahomes you could put in this bucket, but definitely like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. They do it 15 to 20 times a game. And that's how the offense works and is effective. And so it's cool to see he's got that. And I'm really excited to see Cliff kind of give him more, and see how much he can go here.